What's going on YouTube? Craig the Travel Zombie here, and we're back again at the Arizona Science Center, and today we're here to see their new and improved Pompeii exhibit. We are actually going to see Mount Vesuvius erupt, and we're going to see real body casts from the victims that died at Pompeii at the hands of Mount Vesuvius. My name is Craig, I am the Travel Zombie, and welcome to Prime Time. Let's go check this out. This wasn't open the last time that we were here earlier this year. Suit up for the clean room.
We have an integrated circuit, or die, which we'll refer to as a chip. Shooting into the earth, you see layers of metal wires or interconnects at the very bottom of the transistors that form the basic.
Looks like some sort of exhibit on technology.
But rather the empty space that you see filled with insulating materials, thus providing vertically between the layers. Together, these transistors and wires create a multi-layer labyrinth or hive, resulting in a computer that can...
Okay, so it looks like this exhibit showcases chips that were made by this company here called Semiquest. The flight controller chip for this drone connects sensors to keep the drone balanced and stable, and other chips include the GPS, wireless chips, cameras, and motor controllers. Oh, 90s kids will recognize this. Over here, it's called a talking toy. But we know this is a Furby. And this showcases this company's work on electric cars. It looks kind of like a Tesla. Let's head into the Genius Theater. It looks like this is maybe just an art installation.
And I think the collaborative part would really define, even Untitled was defined from the very beginning for us. It was, she had these ideas, and then we would meet and discuss them.
The intricacies of this are amazing.
And trying to grow roots. And we're saying, Texas is very important.
Look at that.
The mold's getting really bad on this one, or trying to get the roots to stay away from the dirt. So I think a lot of just iterating on the process of growing the roots made this a collaborative effort. Studying this kind of work for 2 decades, that you get so.
And here we are at Pompeii, the exhibition.
Exit will be at the end of the exhibition to the gift shop. These entry doors automatically close and will not reopen for you to exit. So you have to go all the way over. If you'd like to purchase an audio tour, if you have not already done so, you may do that at the front of the exhibition. Now I'm going to turn your attention to the screen above.
2,000 years ago, the mighty Roman Empire was at the height of its power, ruling lands that stretched from England to Africa and from Syria to Spain. One of the flourishing regions under this dominating rule was located south of Rome, defined by the colossal Mount Vesuvius. Pompeii was one of a number of towns at the base of this mountain. A cultured and vibrant city, it was a time of great prosperity, and Pompeii became a rich agricultural center, a vital seaport, and a booming commercial hub. The town hosted theatrical and sporting events. The people visited luxurious public baths, and wealthy Roman visitors enjoyed the lifestyle the Mediterranean offered. Life was good for many of the 25,000 inhabitants, but that was all about to change. In 62 AD, an earthquake rattled the small town, yet the citizens rebuilt, unsuspecting of the looming disaster. With no word for volcano in the Latin language, the people of Pompeii were largely unaware of the mighty power of Mount Vesuvius. On the 24th of August, 79 AD, 17 years later, Mount Vesuvius tragically burst forth, raining fire and debris on the entire city. Within the span of 24 hours, all life was stopped, buried under 12 feet of ash and stone. It was not until 1740 that this hidden city was unearthed. It lay forgotten for over 16 centuries, awaiting discovery that perhaps no other place in the world could offer. An ancient Roman city frozen in time, preserved by the very tragedy that destroyed her. Now step into this extraordinary city and discover the story of the people of Pompeii, their way of life and their death, in the shadow of Vesuvius.
So right off the bat, the sets, the ambiance, the presentation of this place are absolutely amazing. The Arizona Science Center and the people behind this exhibit did an amazing job on that. Also, I have to note that some of the items in here, although this exhibit was here 8 years ago, some of the items on exhibit here today have actually never been on exhibit outside of Italy. So Pompeii was actually a thriving city for its time. Its proximity to the Sarno River made it a really great port town for getting supplies to and from the Mediterranean. So they were an extremely well-off society there. And just to demonstrate how old some of these items are, this marble sculpture, both of these marble sculptures, are from the 1st century. And here we have even further evidence of what an advanced society Pompeii was. These are keys from one of the largest and most luxurious homes in Pompeii that opened complex locks adapted by Roman engineers from Egyptian pin locks. And here we have statuettes of several Roman gods. Look at this fresco. I would not believe under normal circumstances that a painting this beautiful, this detailed, could possibly be from the 1st century. But it is. And here is the early Roman version of a piggy bank. And these coins, this hoard of 23 pieces of silver, was found in a wooden box next to the remains of a man in the peristyle of the House of the Successus in Pompeii. Perhaps the coins represented his savings, grabbed as he fled the eruption. Guys, when I tell you that these are some of the most amazing, beautiful, and incredibly well-preserved artifacts I've ever seen, I am not lying. I don't know about you guys, but I would have a hard enough time making this stuff with the tools of today. But to make this with tools of the very 1st century, absolutely incredible skill and craftsmanship. And here is one of the items that I mentioned. This is the very first item that this painting of the Cupids has ever been out of Italy. And look at that. You can kind of understand why they'd want to keep this to themselves. Look at how beautiful that is. Again, this one on the left, first time out of Italy. And it's gorgeous. It is absolutely remarkable how well preserved these marble statues are. And this boy with a goose statue, another one where it's its first time out of Italy. Welcome to America, little guy. And now it looks like they're going to show us the inside of a Pompeian home. Now, fun fact about this glass here, the horned one. I actually watched an interview with one of the curators, I believe it was, and they talked about how important wine was in Italian culture. And one of the things that they mentioned is the reason why they would have horned glasses like this is so that once your glass was filled, you couldn't put it down until you finished your wine. Genius, right? And here we see another absolutely stunning fresco. According to this, Pompeii even had restaurants and bars. It says many people ordered and ate their breakfast or lunch standing at the front counter. Others ordered food to go, which they ate outside in the marketplace. Eateries had a separate back room where more important clients sat or reclined on couches to eat. The walls of these restaurants were a favorite place for graffiti. And there's an example of that graffiti. And here we see bowls of pigments used to create the frescoes and the paintings that we've been seeing all throughout this exhibit. And here we have various first century gardening supplies, including a hammer and a sickle and a hatchet head. And again, the craftsmanship here. This is a lamp in the shape of a bull's head. It says this large stationary lamp carries a lot of meaning. Bulls symbolize the great god Jupiter, and the crescent moon represented the goddess Venus. Both doubtless conferred good luck and fortune on the owner. And if you really want to talk about how advanced these people were, here we have some fishing tools, and they even have the snells on them, just like fishing hooks you would buy today. And here we have some medical supplies, including scalpels and a suction cup, a container for medicines, and some ancient tweezers. And now we enter the area covering gladiators.
Now a contest of mobility versus metal. Retiarius, barely armed, barely even clothed, with weapons that suit a fisherman more than a fighter. He faces off against Secular, an adversary whose name literally means pursuer or chaser. Retiarius casts his net, snares opponent, and he gains an easy target. But the smooth helmet resists a catch. For Secular, a quick victory is critical. With his heavy armor, he tires easily. Retiarius is fast and free. When he aims his trident, Secular barely sees him through the tiny eye holes. It's a hit. Retiarius is victorious. His skill ensures his survival. At least, until next time.
This right here is all that remains of a statue of a boxer. That's his hand. The hand and the forearm are protected by a fingerless glove. The back of the hand was wrapped in a narrow leather strip held together by diagonal ties. And here we have a gladiator's spearhead, a shin guard, and the big centerpiece here. The gladiator's helmet. And here's an even closer look at another gladiator's helmet. The display here says, "The Roman public flocked to watch deadly gladiatorial matches. Enslaved men and convicted criminals, the bulk of their competitors, received training at a special gladiatorial school. Although successful enslaved fighters could win their freedom, many more lost their lives in this violent blood sport." And it looks as if this is where things turn dark. So this is another new feature of this exhibit from the last time that it was here 8 years ago. This is the simulated eruption of Mount Vesuvius.
I hope you didn't for too long.
No, not too long.
All right, well, unlike the Colosseum, it's open seating. So
Okay.
feel free to take a seat anywhere you choose.
All right. Oh, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. The art is unbelievable.
I agree, the art is breathtaking.
Yeah.
And it gives us a good sense of how the people of Pompeii, how they lived, how they worked, how they played. However, unfortunately, the time has come to talk about something much, much darker. It is the great tragedy of Pompeii that the very event that ended its existence is the same thing that preserved it in time. Now, there are two ways we know what happened to the city of Pompeii. The first way is the ongoing archaeological digs happening at the site. The second way is the primary sources that we have, written by a very famous Roman. Do you happen to know the name of this famous Roman for bonus points?
Not off the top of my head.
That's okay, Pliny the Younger. So the story goes, Pliny the Younger, who was only 17 at the time, was relaxing in his manor on the other side of the Bay of Naples, along with his uncle, whose name was also Pliny, and his aunt, named Plinia. So basically, three people named Pliny. They're
Yeah.
all sitting enjoying a nice meal when suddenly Mount Vesuvius bursts into violent life.
Right.
Pliny the Elder, being a respected naturalist and military man, receives a distress call from a local noblewoman named Reptina, the wife of Bassus, who's concerned that her property is about to be destroyed, and rightfully so. So Pliny the Elder, being a naval commander, decides to rally the Roman fleet, and he asks his nephew, Pliny the Younger, Pliny, will you come with me on this rescue mission? And what do you think Pliny the Younger says?
No.
Absolutely not. I will stay right here. Thank you very much. Which, spoilers, is why he lived to tell the tale. So Pliny the Elder gathers his crew They're sailing across the Bay of Naples when the sky darkens, ash and rock are beginning to fall down on the soldiers and sailors. The sea is receding away from the shore. His men are asking to turn back, but Pliny the Elder reportedly said, "Fortune favors the brave," and sailed on until he reached the home of his friend Pomponius. Now, when he arrives at the house of Pomponius, let's imagine that you're Pliny the Elder. What's the first thing you do?
Greet him.
Yes, you greet him, and then, perhaps being a military man on a rescue mission, evacuate the survivors.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's not what Pliny the Elder did. He called for dinner and a bath, trying to calm everyone down and assure them that the situation was under control. However, it was very much not under control. Outside, conditions were getting worse, and soon the building itself started to collapse. Pliny the Elder and the rest of the survivors start running for the shore when Pliny the Elder tragically succumbs to the vapors and dies of an asthma attack. 3 days later, his body is found along with some others, and survivors tell the story to Pliny the Younger, who 25 years later writes all of this down in a letter and sends it to the Roman historian Tacitus. It is from Pliny the Younger's letters that we get the date that you might see around this exhibit, August 24th, 79 CE. Now, in 2018, archaeologists studying Pompeii discovered something shocking. They discovered graffiti dated October 17th. August 24th, October 17th. That's 2 months after the eruption. How is this possible? Well, given that Pliny was writing the letters 25 years later, he may have misremembered the dates, and given that the original letters no longer survive, there may have been a mistranslation by monks over the centuries that followed. However, it is due to this letter that we know that what you are about to witness is an accurate recreation of the last day of Pompeii. This simulation will include loud noises, the barking of dogs, the screaming of people, smoke and fog, and lighting effects. If at any time you wish to leave, you may proceed around that screen to the following room where you will see plaster casts of those who met their final fate with the eruption of Vesuvius. Otherwise, if you're ready to begin, let's make like the Colosseum and give me a thumbs up. It's a little gladiator humor for you. from the map. Of the 20,000 inhabitants of Pompeii, around 2,000 met their end during the eruption. The location of Pompeii was forgotten and undisturbed for many years, until in the 1740s, people studying the ruins discovered strange holes in the ash. When they filled in these holes with plaster, they revealed the shapes of Romans in their final moments of life. At this time, you may head into the next gallery to see some of those original plaster casts from the ruins of Pompeii. Thank you.
Thank you. There were some effects in that theater that I'm sure you guys couldn't perceive because of the camera, but that was absolutely incredible. It included fog effects and even wind. This is a child that was discovered along with 12 other people, making this the largest concentration of bodies found so far in Pompeii. And this is a cast of a teenager. One of the 13 victims found in 1961 in the vineyard of an inn now called the Garden of the Fugitives. The original casts are preserved in an on-site museum at Pompeii. And this shows the progression of the debris that landed on Pompeii, that buried it. All the way up to 12 feet. Bodies of 4 fugitives were found in an alley in Pompeii. A man on his back, a woman laying on her right side, a young girl with her left arm raised over her head, and a woman lying on her left side with her face covered. And honestly, what can you really say about this? It's the cast of a man laying on his side. This man met his death as he descended the stairs of the house of Marcus Fabius Rufus with 3 companions. Casts were made of 3 of the victims, but only the skeleton of the 4th remained. Oh man, seeing this face is haunting. As excavators uncovered human remains, they noticed that the skeletons were surrounded by voids in the compacted ash. Careful pouring of plastic of Paris into these spaces revealed the final poses, clothing, and faces of Vesuvius's victims. This man was found near several other bodies. Another haunting face. The teeth of this one are preserved in plaster, as well as a portion of the skull. So, before I continue and show you this next cast, a warning to animal lovers. You are about to see a plaster cast of a dog killed by Mount Vesuvius's eruption. This dog was found by the front door of the house of Orpheus, presumably left behind to guard the home while the family fled. The bronze studs around the dog's neck are all that remain of a collar. There's what it's referring to.
A repeating cycle that produces 6 searches and flows.
Now this is interesting because they actually encourage you to touch this item. This is a fluted column shaft element with a square base. 4 columns, one at each corner, supported by the impluvium in a grand villa. For maximum visual and social effect, a row of columns might grace a very luxurious atrium. Tuff, a fairly soft rock mostly made up of volcanic ash, was often used in Roman construction. We invite you to touch this 2,000-year-old fragment from Pompeii.
For thousands of years, Mount Vesuvius has experienced 2 types of volcanic
Wow.
eruption. In one, lava flows
That
freely
is-
out the magma chamber. In another, more deadly, the magma chamber
That's absolutely
becomes
incredible.
during a period of dormancy. Gas trapped inside builds pressure until it explodes. The longer the dormancy, the more violent the explosion. By 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius has been dormant for 700 years. When it erupts,
Now, before we take off, I want to mention something that the docent mentioned to me, that although this is a depressing part of the exhibit,
the densest fragments
the facts tell us that there was hope in Pompeii, that roughly 90% of the population actually survived.
Herculaneum lies southwest of Mount
And
Vesuvius,
that
away from the wind. No pumice storm occurs.
that comforts me a little bit
After 12 hours,
after
less
seeing
than half an inch of ash
something
touches
so
the ground.
horrifying.
Buildings even upper.
All right, so we got through the Pompeii exhibit just in time before the museum closed, and now I got a little bit of time to kill before I head home, and I'm a little bit hungry, a little bit thirsty. So what do you say? Let's go around here to Heritage Square and get something to eat, something to drink. So Heritage Square is a old preserved portion of downtown Phoenix where they've converted a bunch of old homes into shops, into restaurants, and into bars. And when I say that this area is beautiful, look at this. So right here we have Pizzeria Bianco, and I think we will end up going there, or at least I'll end up going there, because it looks like there's quite a few people in there, so it's probably going to be too loud for you guys to hear me. But I am going to take you guys right next door over here to this other small home, and this is called Bar Bianco. Bar Bianco was actually the Thomas House, built in 1909. And this place has that old world charm. Look at this. How beautiful is that? There we go. And we've got our drinks. A toast to you guys. So, I've been to quite a few museums in my life, including the Arizona Science Center. And the last time that we were there for their poisons exhibit. And I'll leave a card with a link to that video up in the top right corner of this video too. So if you guys want to watch that when you're done here, absolutely feel free. But while that exhibit was good and while it was interesting, they've completely outdone themselves with this Pompeii exhibit. This was among the best museum exhibits I've ever seen. And that's saying something. I was talking to one of the docents as I was walking through near the body casts, and I told him I went to Las Vegas back in 2023, December, before I started doing content for this channel. And I've been fascinated with the Titanic since I was a child. And when I was a child, I was probably around 10, 12 years old, maybe 10 or 11, I don't know. But we went and saw the Titanic exhibit at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, which is one of the greatest museums in the world, in my opinion. And part of that exhibit was a massive piece of the Titanic's hull. And they didn't warn you when it was coming about. You just turned the corner and it was there. And I didn't expect the feeling that that gave me, because it brought back memories of what my life was like the last time that I saw that artifact. And although I've never seen the plaster casts from Pompeii before, I got a very similar feeling to when I saw that piece of the Titanic's hull for the second time. Because, you know, you're not just looking at an object. You're looking at a person. And specifically, you're looking at a person in their very last moments ever. And not just a person either. There was a dog in there. We saw a dog. And that struck me in a way that I absolutely did not expect. And I hope that I've been able to convey the impact of that for you guys properly. And so I hope that you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. And with that, I must bid you all adieu and say goodbye and good night.